And I just might as well do something. I'm bored. Uh, so doing maintenance and kind of behind on maintenance this week. Uh, so that's great. But while I'm doing maintenance, I am treating everything with these mosquito bits. And the goal is, by the end of the week, hopefully literally every container in my collection should be treated with the mosquito bits, and I should hopefully eradicate or come close to eradicating my phorid flies in one fell swoop. That is my goal. Might take a couple treatments to actually do that, but that is what I'm trying to do, because I really hate phorid flies. Oh god, historically, I have not had much of an issue with phorids in the past, but this year I happened to get some in my collection, and it's bad. I hate them so much. Like fungus gnats never really bothered me, but phorids, phorids are gross because fly maggots really gross me out, and fungus gnat maggots, you don't really see them much. They kind of blend in with the substrate. I mean, they're literally like transparent, you know. So those don't usually bother me that much. Sure, the adults like to fly up noses, but they don't bother my bugs. But phorids, while they don't fly up noses, they do like, they land on like your food and stuff more, and in terms of annoying, like me. They're bigger, they're grosser looking, and their maggots are fucking disgusting looking. And they can attack and kill like weaker roach individuals, other invertebrates as well. I mean, for one shining example that kind of is what put me over the edge with these is last week. I've isolated some Princessia van Rebecca, the big black line. I've isolated some just completely black adults to their own little setup in an attempt to isolate that strain. Isolate a pure black breeding color form, right? And one of the females, though, that I isolated was kind of like old. It's probably not that long for this earth. But I found her the other day. I guess some of her intersegmental membranes, like the membrane in between her abdominal segments on her underside. I don't know if there was a wound there or is just she was so fat after having eaten a bunch that the intersegmental membrane was like exposed too much. And there are a bunch of phorid fly maggots crawling out of and like eating her in between her abdominal segments. But she was still like alive and like crawling around, not even like in the death throes. Like she seemed active and like normal from above, but I saw her like try to scoot up against that enclosure and saw maggots literally pouring out of her, a wound on her abdomen. So that was absolutely disgusting. I was like, yeah, no, these gotta go. These gotta go. So everything in my collection needs to be treated with, I'm using mosquito bits, which are these little corncob pieces covered in BTI bacteria. I think it's Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, something like that. I've absolutely butchered that Latin, but basically it's a bacteria that this particular strain, subspecies, whatever, only targets dipterans. It only attacks flies, specifically their larvae. But so it won't affect any other invertebrate, just flies. And so, yeah, I'm putting it. It's safe to use. The only thing is with it, you gotta like mix it into humid substrate in order for it to really trigger. Mixing corn cob like bits into substrate is probably gonna make some things mold. I have a lot of springtails and like orobated mites and stuff in the substrates in my enclosures, so hopefully it won't be too big a deal. But I am expecting some mold issues after doing this. But if it gets rid of the damn forwards, it'll have been worth it. Yes, that's what I'm dealing with. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if these were, like, normal forwards. I've had forwards in the past, like, a couple times, couple small outbreaks, and I always got rid of them, like, easy peasy. Because, like, the forwards I'm used to dealing with in the past only ate, like, frass and, like, only roach frass if it was, like, really gross and piled up and wet. And dead roach bodies, right? So if I clean up all the roach bodies, like in like larger roach bodies in my enclosures, and make sure no enclosures are like super gross or anything, usually within like a week or two I was able to get rid of my forwards. But I got these new roided up forwards, probably from my friend Brandon Maines, because he says he has these in his collection, that these forwards will attack basically any rotting organic matter if it's damp enough. So rotten fruit, old dog food, and then of course dead, dying, and dead and dying invertebrates as well as their frass. So these ones are really nasty because they're more generalist, and so like any rotting material in my enclosures is proving food for their larvae. They breed so freaking fast, so I can never keep my enclosures perfectly clean enough to ever possibly get rid of these. They're like fungus gnat level detritivores, but grosser and more aggressive. So yeah, that's where the mosquito bits come in. So hopefully they work. Hopefully it kills off at least most of the forwards in this first go, and then if I need to, I can apply it again and again until they're all gone. So that is my war I'm waging. 2024, getting rid of forward flies. It's my resolution. Hope everyone had a happy New Year's Eve and holidays and all that fun stuff. I did. So yeah, that should be enough. Yeah, not too many new developments in terms of bugs at the moment. I will be receiving 2 packages this week. One from Carlos Michelson, which I'm really excited about, and one from should be getting a package from I did a Secret Santa exchange in the Isopod Bootleggers group on Facebook, so should be getting some interesting mystery isopods. So yeah, it should be getting some new stuff this week. Then next week I should get a box from Kyle. Yeah, so I got some new stuff coming in, but nothing crazy this past week or two since I last streamed. I should check the chat. Oh, but it's kind of difficult the way I have this positioned. Okay, nothing. So, okay. But, a lot of Kyle has been hard at work with his website, Roach Crossing, and hard at work on getting his isopod list all sorted out, which pulled me and a few other members of the hobby into a chat to just talk about scientific names and what things should be labeled as and blah blah. Which I'm pretty happy that he's doing this because we really need a more cohesive way. We need a more cohesive way to label our isopods. It's gotten a little crazy, the whole morph and strain names and all that. Not that the way we label things is necessarily going to change much, like with making all these convoluted morph names, but someone should at least be able to tell that, you know, Cubara species, tapir, or white panda are just color forms of Cubara species panda king, right? So stuff like that, making that more obvious and clear in the labeling, you know, pretty important. But yeah, so I'm excited to see that. I think this year I'm going to focus more on isopods. There's a nice variety in the hobby at the moment, and I've kind of got that collecting bug at the moment. I have a lot of the roaches I want from the hobby, but you know, at least the US hobby at the moment, and the ones I don't have yet, I will probably be getting most of this year. Oops. But isopods, I've kind of been lagging on acquiring, so this year I'm going to be really trying to push and get some more species, more variety in my collection of isopods, and you know, put myself more in that game. So, not necessarily more involved in that side of the hobby in terms of like interacting with the community, but I will definitely be expanding my collection quite a bit. Yeah, most of my Botellid and Pseudophilodromid enclosures don't really have much in the way of phorids, but just to be safe, in case there's any stragglers in any container, I want literally all my setups to be treated. But, yeah. It's like I posted that I was doing this, and like a lot of people are saying that they want to do it for their fungus gnats, and yeah, I don't know, fungus gnats just really have never bothered me much, but phorids have always grossed me out. I just gotta be really careful now when like doing anything with my mothfly setups. Obviously I can't treat those, but I don't really need to. But yeah, I gotta make sure I don't end up accidentally contaminating them, or because this bacteria will work on any flies, moth flies included. So. Django with this crap. Well, I failed. I failed the Jenga game. God dang it. The last couple streams I've done, it's felt like nothing but chaos. This is bad luck, man. Oh, that's unacceptable. Yeah, you guys can't see anything right now, but there's it's just a mess over here. I need to go through and reorganize stuff again in this room, but yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I need another shelf, to be honest, I'm pretty sure, already. I have too much stuff on these racks at the moment. Alright, whatever. That's gonna have to do. Right there. And I guess this is just gonna go. Oh, I guess up here for now. Alright. Bye. These are already treated and took care of. That. Oops. Aye. Okay. What do we got here? I also just dropped my Tagalogblad enclosure, yay. Which I did want to check. Okay. One thing I need to do is I need to redo this. That won't work. There we go. This should be fine. Aye. Okay. I need to rehouse these winged Tagalogblad that I've isolated because their current little setup just keeps drying out, so setting up a new one. They seem to be able to tolerate a slight bit of dryness, but they really don't love it. So I'm probably slowing the growth of the nymphs down in doing so. But right there. Yeah, I really need these to grow up and breed for me. I can figure out, you know, if all these next adults come out with wings, then it should be the nail in the coffin in determining that these are indeed two different species within one culture. Alright. Can't forget the mosquito bits. Okay. Those, and this is the big mixed Tailobata culture. I didn't isolate any of the wingless adults yet, but like, I feel like I don't really need to at the moment, because until we've proven, like, basically I only need to isolate one set of either winged or wingless adults to prove that they're two different species. And then after that, if they are two different species, then I'll focus on isolating the other. I don't know what I'm going to do with this big master culture, though, that is, like, really thriving with a 50-50 mix of individuals of the winged and wingless. If they end up being two species, I might still, like, keep this culture and sell, like, the mixed, like, as collected in the wild, you know, colony, because kind of neat to have those two species cohabiting together that seem to do so with relative harmony. So that might be something I do. Even if they end up being two different species, I might sell, hey, this is a mix. You can buy mixed cultures of Tagalogblad and whatever the heck these other things end up being. Or you can buy pure cultures when I have pure culture set up. So I think that'd be kind of cool. It's not very often that you get two species of roaches that cohab perfectly well together, that are of similar size and seem to occupy the same niche. So I feel like that could be something interesting. But then obviously the purists should have an option of buying just whatever species they want. Solo. Looks like I got sub-adults already of the Gryllus species Fort Morgan. So far, though, it's looking like most of them are male. All the adult males have died off at the moment, but so Alan won't have to hear their calls. But oh wait, no, there's still one adult male. But he's really old though, that's why he hasn't chirped in a few days. But it looks like there's about to be a bunch more adult males soon. Don't forget. Yeah, hopefully I get some females soon. Yeah, it looks like most of these are gonna be male. And there's a lot of mixed sizes in here, but so okay, there's a pre-sub female I see. Yeah, looking like most of them are males. Most of the sub-adults, at least. Right, let's mixing some of these pellets. Not really any forwards in here. Because these guys are pretty good at eating their dead. And I mean, and the food that I give them too. There's not much leftovers usually. So just some fungus gnats, but no forwards in here. But everything must be treated. No exceptions. No non-dipteran exceptions. Yeah, does anyone have any New Year's resolutions? Any goals they wish to achieve with their collections or other aspects of their life? Any? Mine, and I posted on the Harvard Species File group on Facebook that my New Year's resolutions, at least in terms of roach breeding, I would love to get Archiblatta of some sort, Sundablatta of some sort, and Tharcicera spectabilis. Those are my main goals for this year, and hopefully I can achieve them. In terms of breeding, like other invertebrates in general, I would love to get at least a species of exotic Tenebrionid this year. I would love to get what was that? I would love to get more camel crickets, especially like more unique camel cricket species. I would love to get, in terms of isopods, Porcelia succinctus, our species lemon blue. I would love to get Trichodilidum pubescens, Porcelia spinipes, maybe Hemilepistis species. There's a few on my list for sure. Oh, and obviously more Maryllinella. Those are some of my favorites. Just because they're so roachy. So, yeah. That's my my resolutions, I guess, in terms of species acquisitions. But in terms of collection, I would just like to have a larger collection in general, better collection infrastructure, more shelving, maybe better ventilation methods than what I currently use. I'm not sure, but yeah, definitely that. And just to continue to stay financially stable and all that fun stuff. I would love to visit my friend Brendan Maines this year as well, take a trip out east. So that would be fun. also, I would a New Year's resolution, I suppose, is how much do the growlers on your site chirp? Tennyson, the ones on my site are the ones that, if you've watched any of the previous streams, those are the ones that have been chirping. It's the only growlers I have, and they chirp pretty frequently. Pretty frequently. Not but it's not grating like that of Acheta domesticus, the house crickets. I really like growlers chirps, but yeah, they are pretty much chirping all the time, as long as there are live adult males. And then someone else commented, gloves on for the mosquito bits. I'm not supposed to touch it to your skin, because if you have continued contact, physical contact with the bacterial proteins, you can become allergic to them. So I have some of your unidentified hissers. I have them living zebra ice spots, and they do well together. Yeah, Armadillidium especially seem to like being housed with roaches, or at least with roach frass, and I'm sure the hissers don't mind them. She reduced my invertebrate collection more than half, focusing on my favorites. Nothing new this year. There's nothing wrong with that. I've certainly know what that's like, to reduce collections and focus on a few species. So hopefully that helps you, and I know it can help, especially like make it not feel as overwhelming caring for like hundreds of cultures, you know. So hopefully that works well for you, and hopefully the species you do keep thrive, especially with the probably extra attention you'll be able to give them. These Archimandrita, some of them are coming out pretty light as nymphs, and I don't know if that's normal or if that's Serratia. And if it's Serratia, then they came with it, because I gave these guys brand new substrate. And like, yeah, so that could be a bit annoying, but yeah. Seems to be, the Serratia seems to be the worst in like blattids and like larger blabrids. They can seem to be able to get really effed up by it. But, oy. Literally, maybe just a bunch of them molted, like, in sync or something, because they all look kind of freshly molted, to be honest, too. That's weird. Alright, I'm going to put in another scoop of bits, and get with the food. And hose them down. Alright. What else? I thought I did have some kind of interesting news regarding taxonomy. Oh, there was a new Paraplaneta species described, Paraplaneta gigantea. Which is supposed to be like very large for a Paraplaneta, but one of the authors just posted a picture of him today, of I think the holotype, or one of the type specimens, on his hand. And it doesn't look that huge compared to like a decent sized Americana or Brunea, even. Like, it didn't look that big, to be honest. So this is a little disappointing. They made it sound huge in the paper, but maybe he just has big hands, though. I don't know. I don't know the guy, but looked kind of small in the picture to me. It was like 40-something millimeters. I can't remember off the top of my head what Americana are, but I feel like they're pretty close to that, to be honest. But still, interesting. A new species of Paraplaneta from Taiwan. You know, I feel like in terms of roaches, there seem to be like a lot of species, like a big biodiversity in Taiwan. Like you always think of Taiwan as being like really. I always think of Taiwan as being fairly small island, right? But clearly larger than most people think, and with quite a bit of space to sustain a fairly decent biodiversity of cockroaches. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty cool. We really need more species out of Taiwan. Would be nice. Um, but it is kind of funny though. Remember, I don't know if anyone here probably remembers, but there used to be a species of roach in the hobby. It was a staple in the U.S. hobby, at least among enthusiasts. Until they just people still till we started getting more species in the hobby and people lost interest in them. Had some crashes, but the Formosan sand roaches, just an unidentified choroidid, supposedly from Taiwan, but there's not a ton of habitat that would sustain that type of choroidid, at least choroidid with that appearance. Um, they really looked like Aranabaga, and honestly, I'm kind of thinking maybe they were. Because I mean, we have pictures of the males, the females, the ooth. It really does just look like a species of Aranabaga. Maybe not an American species, could have been like Mexican. But back then, the records for where things came from were often like straight up wrong. Like the hobby Urgala pilosa apparently supposedly came from Borneo, but I think they probably actually came from Thailand because they appear to be Urgala sulfoides, and Urgala sulfoides is found in Vietnam and not Malaysia. So, not Borneo. So, uh, if anything, I think what happened there was someone identified them as Pelosa and then looked up where Pelosa's found and was like, oh yeah, it's Malaysia, so these came from Borneo. But they aren't Pelosa, so. Probably collected from Thailand, but so a lot of the older records of shit is not correct. Got mixed up. So I really do wonder if the Formosan sand roaches that were in the hobby were actually just literally Aranabaga from North or Central America that got uh, like mislocality. I don't know, given the wrong locality somehow. It doesn't really matter because we don't have them anymore. But case in point, what I'm saying here is there's been quite a bit more study on the roach fauna of Taiwan, and nobody has found those Formosan sand roaches since, or anything that resembles them. So I think the only choroidids they have on Taiwan are uh, Euchoroidea and maybe some Holocampsa. But yeah. It would have been great to if anyone ever kept dead specimens of the Formosan sand roaches, we could compare them genetically to Aranabaga and see if that is what they were, but yeah, we're not gonna be able to do that. Bite, dunks, I keep on saying mosquito dunks, but these are mosquito bits, not dunks. If anyone uses these, by the way, these mosquito bits, just remember, like, only get the ones that use BTI exclusively as the active ingredient. Some mosquito bits do use just chemical pesticides instead. So just make sure you read up on what you're buying before you buy it, because if you get the chemical ones, you will kill everything. Roaches, isopods, beetles, flies, everything. But bacteria specifically only targets flies. So yeah, just be careful. I really do hate wearing gloves while doing maintenance. It just feels so like I feel like disconnected from what I am doing. Unable to feel as well if substrate's dry or wet. But safety first with the bacteria. I really should wear gloves more though, especially when I'm doing like hisser enclosures, just to prevent any allergic reactions, exposure to allergens. But quite allergic to the hissers. Alright, let's get some food, and this is my Blabberish Marijuana. Now we got 6 people on. Hello, everybody. That's almost the high. I think the highest I've gotten so far, concurrent viewers, was 10. So, hello, everybody. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will get to them eventually. Let me see if there's any further questions. My husband was very happy. Hello, hello. Your husband was happy that you reduced the collection. Well, as long as you're happy, that is what matters the most. Next up, we got the earwigs. Alan he asked me the other day to make a post about the earwigs that I got from him, the Marva arachnidis, but I have not gotten pictures of them yet, and they are tiny and fast, so getting pictures will be probably kind of annoying, and I just haven't had the time, or rather the will to do that yet. But I will do it, trust me. Yeah, they're very pretty, cute little earrings. For sure. I just want to make sure I get nice good photos of them before showing them off. Earwigs is another thing I'll be branching into more this year, probably. I want to get at least a couple more species. The big Euborelia arcanum, yeah, arcanum, and maybe Labradora if I could get my hands on some, like the large species, and then of course more micro earwigs would be welcomed as well. They're really cute. Fireness. Still doing okay, just not eating as regularly as I'd hoped, but... And these are so cool though, Amblypygids are so cool. I'd like to maybe try and breed Amblypygids this year, maybe get a species that is easy to breed. I really want, I really want Acanthophyrinus cornutus though. Those are like not easy to breed. But I do kind of want those really badly. Just because they're so big and attractively patterned. My powdered blues. Hey, wait a minute. What is that? I got a, wait, is that, like, actually orange, or is that just aspergillus? Nah, never mind. I thought I had an orangish, Porcellanites popping from the wild, Pruinosis colony that I collected myself. But, it was just an individual covered in aspergillus mold spores, so it looked more yellow. But alas, was not. Create my own morph of orange, my own line of orange. Pruinosis, call it some crazy name. Mandarin, orange, mandarin, grapefruit, surprise. I'm gonna go fill up this water and I will be right back. Returned. Alright, so I'm finishing up roaches here, and then I will probably move on to isopods. In terms of maintenance. And then tomorrow I'll probably take care of my beetles. Oops. I messaged you on server about it, but I'm not sure what's going on with yours, Exotic Wilderness. Just randomly dying, slightly twitch for many hours. I mean, a lot of roaches, when they die for any reason, twitch for many hours after death. But if they were twitching before death, like well before actually dying, and they're moving very twitchily and erratically, I would suspect pesticide poisoning. But if not, if they seem normal, then just suddenly, drop and are just twitching a little bit, and look dead, then something else killing them. Not sure what it could be. Too poor of airflow and too high of humidity, or too low of humidity, crowding. They seem to be able to withstand quite a bit of crowding and frass buildup compared to most epilamprians. Like my colonies would get to like really disgusting levels of dead bodies and frass and crowding and not crash. So I'm not sure exactly what is going on with your culture, but I'm sorry to hear it. Live chat. Yeah, that's weird. Bakersfield, California, and I have found some Aranavaga, but I'm not sure what they are. Hey, I would love some Aranavaga from California. If you want to private message me, invertebratedude@gmail.com, or, I don't know if you're on Facebook, but TJ Brown on Facebook, Invertebrate Dude on Instagram, or Facebook too. Yeah, if you want to message me about those, if you got pictures, I can try. They can only really be identified from males, usually. If you have pictures of adult males, I could try and identify them for you. If you have excess individuals that you could collect, I would be happy to trade for them. I would really like a colony of an Aranavaga strain from California, finally. But yeah, there are several species in California, so it's kind of hard to identify them. Even when I see adult males, it might not be possible to identify some of them without like confirmation from a taxonomist doing genitalia dissection. But quite a few of the species in California are pretty different looking as males. So if you can get males, adult males, I could potentially identify them from a photo. But otherwise, I may need to see them, have them in person, possibly even send them to a taxonomist. And little streaks inside of an enclosure when there's humidity, maybe some worm parasites. I mean, you could have nematodes. It kind of sounds like nematodes. But none of the nematodes I've ever had have like significantly bothered most of the roaches I keep. Seems like they bother some of them, but I mean, I had like a lot of nematodes in with my Epilamprinae species Conocinobalu before they crashed. No, not before I sold them off. But yeah, they had like a ton of nematodes, and they never crashed. Never seemed to crash as a result of the nematodes. So I kind of don't think those would be an issue with yours. Now, if anything, it seemed like forward flies and I had Compsodies into them, and those seemed to bother them more than the nematodes did. But still, like nothing. My Codocinobalu, like they're pretty bulletproof compared to any other Epilamprid I have. It was very hard to get those to crash. So I do wonder if maybe yours had some sort of pesticide exposure. I don't know. Materials you gave them. Here's baby's question about. Okay, I don't have any right now, but I know I can get some. Okay. Yeah, definitely keep me posted on those Aranabago, please, because, yeah, I'd love some California ones. We'd definitely be down to trade for those. Question about Hisser babies. I only found a few babies in one of my bins. Why so few? I don't see any den ones. Where do they go? Sometimes you'll get smaller litters born. Sometimes females will abort ooths out of stress before the ooths are technically ready to hatch. But, like, some of the eggs will be more developed than others and hatch. So you'll get, like, a few babies, but the rest just died in the aborted ooth. And then maybe got eaten. But it could just be that one of your females just gave birth to a pretty small litter and still has a bunch of eggs inside of her that she will give birth to at a later date. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I can think of. Let's see my Suriname. On the topic of Hisser babies, still no Andromeda babies, by the way, for anyone following that. Still no Cyssia Venmerbecki Andromeda babies. Kind of giving up hope on those at this point. Okay, we got left here. So these. Another thing I'd like to try to branch out into this year maybe would be pill millipedes. Especially like some of the more colorful species. I might be tempted to try and keep those. this year. But we'll see about that. Oops. My Elaeus Lachiosis, I got like 3 adults so far. And they are staying dormant quite a while. They're refusing to come out of their pupal cells. Like one that I took out of its pupal cells, just staying dormant, even outside. So that's something I've not really experienced with click beetles before. Is that dormancy after adulthood. Most of them are pretty much like ready to go right after maturing. So I don't really know when these guys are going to be ready to come on out. But hey, they're still kicking, so I don't want to force them out, other than that one that I did collapse its cell and had to dig it up. But trying to just let them be. Yeah, they're nice. This is the one that got dug up. But definitely a nice big elater. But yeah, definitely still like dormant. Not eating, not moving around, just lying still all day. So I don't know if Alan is watching this or not, but I failed with Elaeus patricus, by the way. I could not get that female to lay more than a few eggs. I got 2 larvae from her. That's it. And those larvae are doing fine, but that's all I got. So that's not going to be enough to sustain a colony. And I don't really know what I did wrong. Yeah, I just could not get that female to lay eggs at all. So that really sucked. Yeah. Ugh. Next up, Venonies. Not Venonies. Libidioides. Ornata. Yeah, these guys definitely have phorids in here. Eating the fruit and dead superworm bits. Oh, another sad update, my Eumessosoma black harvestman, black velvet harvestman, completely fucking crashed. And again, not like really sure what the heck happened there. They just did not. Adults laid 1 clutch of eggs, and those eggs hatched, and then those babies grew for a couple molts, and then just all died. So, for the babies, I think the springtails in the enclosure got too much out of hand and just annoyed them with constant tactile contact. But what the adults' problem was, I still don't know. They should have been way longer lived and way more fecund, but they were not. So something happened to them, and I do not know what. Thankfully, I sent those out to quite a few people, though, so hopefully at least one of them breeds them, and I can get some back. But yeah, we will just have to see about that. Alright, let's... I guess I should probably put the bits in here first before feeding. Alright, let's put a bunch here. Just mix that into the substrate. Jeez Louise, man. A lot of springtails in here, but that's good. Okay. And I thought I had a little bit more in terms of updates, but I feel kind of, I mean, I'm tired, but I feel just like I'm blanking right now. I can't think of anything interesting that's happened in my collection during this absence. Other than sad updates like stuff crashing. Oh, my Persona 90's big pine key, like started popping off again. There's like a lot of babies in there, a lot of reproducing females, and a lot of half-grown individuals. So those didn't take long to bounce back at all. So that's good news. And then my Persona 90's Everglades are also gearing up to have a big baby boom soon, so I might have those available in the coming months, along with the big pine keys again. So that'll be exciting. Well, I have been offering the big pine keys on a couple auctions here and there, but haven't added them to my main list yet. But yeah, those are good. Miami's are also doing well. I still need to get the Flamingo and Elliott key lines this year, and then I should have all the Florida CF Verganis. All the supposed Verganis that don't really look like a lot of the more northern Verganis. God, I can't wait for warmer weather though. I mean, it's been a pretty warm winter so far here in Idaho, all things considered. Like, not that much snow. You know, pretty mild temps all in all, but still, I'm really looking forward to springtime and the warmth and all the bugs that brings. So I got collecting. I got some a local couple that I met up with who are into bugs as well, and there's talk of us all going out and collecting stuff later. Well, just going out. I'll be collecting stuff. They'll just be watching probably. But yeah, hanging out with some fellow bug nerds here in Idaho would be great. Especially in the warmer months when you can actually look for bugs and see that. So yeah, hoping to get out more this year and try and meet up with people, catch bug, talk bug. And I still would really like to make more heavily edited bug care guide videos this year. That's another thing I would like to start doing this year, but we'll see what time and energy I'm allowed this year. Alright, so the bits applied to this container. Give these guys some food. Eat the food, Tina. And these. And gas. I don't know how feeder breeders, like how I guess they have to devote like a lot of freaking time and a lot of space really in order to make that like a sustainable thing for them, job, right? Because like I was talking with somebody about potentially selling superworms to their shop, and they're like, yeah, well, we usually get, you know, 1,000 count for $20 at wholesale, and like, I mean, that's reasonable for feeders, I guess. I mean, it really is, especially if pet shop wants to make any money at all. So I have no qualms about that. But in my head, I didn't like realize it was that low an amount for that many insects, and it's like, wow, I would have to be breeding thousands upon thousands upon thousands, like absolutely huge bins entirely full of these things in order to make like any sort of living off of that. In order to make, yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous. Yeah, so because I get paid like $18.50 an hour at Walmart. And that's basically that's 1,000 superworms right there. And these shops only go through like maybe 10,000 superworms a month. So even if I was supplying many pet stores with these superworms, like the amount of time and space I'd have to dedicate to producing that many, I don't think would be worth that. So yeah, I make way more than that just selling like random groups of pet bugs every couple weeks. So yeah, I don't know how feeder breeders do it. I guess, I mean, they just have an absolute metric shit ton of what they're breeding and clearly supply more than one or two pet shops. So props to them. Basically, is what I'm getting at. Props to those people, but that ain't for me. I don't think I'll ever be a major breeder of at least the more common feeder species. Like, that's just not, or at least not doing that is like my main thing, obviously. So yeah, I will continue to just stick to my lane and my main interest of the more weird oddball pet stuff. Or oddball feeder, too. Speaking of those such creatures, my Cubara species blue pigeon, which I just got a couple weeks ago from Ty Randall, Tie-Dye Exotics. Shout out to him. But they've already started breeding. And I gotta say, little disappointed. Like, a lot of Cubara species, a lot of Icelands in general, like, look worse in photos than they do in real life. Like, they look much better in life. These are almost a species I would say looks prettier in photos than in real life. These Cubaris blue pigeons, not that pretty and definitely not blue. It's just like that very slight bluish pubescence that not pubescence, like kind of glaucous coating that they get to them when they're a little bit dry. But it's not even as vibrant as it is in like some of the darklings I keep that looks way more blue. In these, it's just the tiniest little hint of the like very light blue, but they really just look grayish brown in person. So yeah, little disappointed in how these look, but they're definitely a cute little species of Cubaris for sure. They seem to be easy, so we'll keep them around. The white pandas, the Panda King white outmorph, whatever, that I also got from Ty at the same time, have produced like several dozen babies already. Which, unsurprising for Panda Kings. They're some of the easiest isopods to keep and breed. But yeah, so those I will have established very quickly. Shout out to Ty for sending me apparently several gravid females. That's cool. And these I'm not disappointed at all in the coloration. They look really nice. pine keys. Doing great. Which they were doing great already. Even without leaf litter in their enclosure, but I did just top them off on leaf litter. So they should be doing even better here soon. Ooh, wow. Sheesh, man, I wish I could get this on the camera. I really can't. No, it's not even showing up on camera. Oh, but it's like it's a really yellow big pine key. But no, that's not. That ain't gonna show up on camera. Really yellow though, like very vibrantly yellow, and also like very really covered in a lot of yellow modeling as well, and with some bright red side striping to them too. Really pretty individual for sure. So yeah, I love this species. I love their variability and their ease of care, and still quite slow breeding compared to true Porcellanites, Phrenolosis and Flora and all that, but definitely a pretty species of ice that I think is criminally underrated. Especially the big pine key morph, like a strain. They're really freaking pretty. Like, my gosh. Alright, here we go. Cyanodella species Vietnam. These are species that just does not take off for me for some reason. I'm still trying to figure them out. I'm trying out. I've heard quite a few people say they like really deep leaf litter layer, so that's what I'm giving them now. Really deep, really thick layer of leaf litter. They definitely don't seem to like it dry at all. Well, it's the thing is they don't like drying out at all. If there's a dry side to the enclosure, they won't stick to it. However, they also don't like being on soaking wet substrate. So I think that's why they like high humidity, but then a large, thick layer of leaf litter that they can rest on above the actually like wet substrate. And then they also seem to like decent airflow, and high humidity. Kind of difficult things for me to get going at the same time because I live in a desert. But trying that with these guys, and I mean they seem to be doing pretty well in their new setup. But yeah, still not exploding for me yet like I would like them to. So. We'll see. A good misting. Let me see if we got anything else in chat that I've missed. By any chance, you see Eurycotis toward the silver screens? If you're talking to me, I do not have that species. I don't have Floridana, period. Not let alone a locality data ones. But yeah, no, I don't have Eurycotis Floridana. I actually have never kept Eurycotis Floridana before. Kept almost every other Eurycotis, but Floridana and Decipiens I have not. I love care guide videos. I watch many manuals. Never intend to own. Always learn. Like, yeah, me too. I watch a lot of care videos and stuff that I never plan on keeping. I just like to learn more information about species. So yeah, I don't know. I would like to make more care videos this year. I just need to find the time to do that. The main difficulty is like editing it, and yeah. So, but I would like to try to do that this year. Ooh. What else are we doing pretty well? I will say I've started putting in calcium supplements in with a lot of my isopods, and a lot of them don't touch them, but yeah, Spanish Porcelio really love that stuff, and I'm getting pretty larger individuals now that I'm doing that. I've noticed, so it's definitely neat to see. Well, so it's funny. Me and Kyle were talking yesterday about like isopod hobby stuff, and talking about just like a lot of the more convoluted, crazy, over complicated husbandry tips and tricks, and myths that are going around in the hobby, and just stuff like that. And at one point, we were besmirching the iPod hobby, and he said something really funny like that. I guess should be the iPod keeper's mantra at this point. Was gaslight, gatekeep, and what was the last one? Gaslight, gatekeep, and gang up on disbelievers. There we go. Gaslight, gatekeep, and gang up on disbelievers. Where it's like, yeah, that's pretty much where it's at right now. It's about how it feels like. These, I don't know if anyone can see these. These are my Porcelio Hoffman Segi whiteouts, isolated by Maxwell Wolfgang from Pennsylvania Pods, PA Pods. Yeah, these guys are really cool, and should be sexual maturity now. So I expect to see babies sometime soon. Yeah, within a couple months, hopefully. But yeah, these guys are looking pretty rad. I mean, Hoffman Segi in general is just a really nice species. But having morph versions of them is really cool. So I'm excited about that. And I guess I should apply this. So yeah, there's really no forward flies in like any of my isopod containers, to be honest. But again, there can be no strongholds for them. So everything is getting treated. And like, look, this Cuttlebone, not Cuttlebone, calcium carbonate that I mix with water and then let dry out into, a patty, and then I break that up into pieces. But it's very jagged when I put it in here, but it's hard to see on video, but it's like really rounded out now. They've been chewing it down. And I've only had these isopods for, I think, less than a month, so clearly seem to enjoy the calcium supplementation. It is not essential. I've bred Hoffman Segi just fine in the past without it, but I think it will help achieve a larger average adult size. That's all it really does, but still, I mean, that's nice and neat. And again, calcium carbonate, really cheap. About like two big bags of it for like $20 on Amazon. And that is going to last me probably years. So don't bother with the Cuttlebone limestone crap. That's way more expensive. Got a good amount of freaking, what is it? CF Sphaerillo? Yeah, Sphaerillo species dream, which apparently isn't actually even true Sphaerillo, but that's the closest thing it matches to. Those have gone through, like, probably the most name changes of any I spot in the hobby. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I got them. They're doing pretty well for me. They're breeding pretty well, I should say. But man, their babies take a long time to grow. I finally got some that are like half grown, but it's been a while. They take their time. But they're decently prolific once they start breeding, so that's good. Okay. Should be good. Now this. Oops. Sorry. Alright. What else? My normal Panda Kings. I got rid of my Panda Kings last year, and I kept there was a single pair that was a stowaway in one of my other iSpot enclosures. And, oops, sorry, that's leaning a little bit now. Uh-oh, I screwed up the camera holder. No. Okay, well. I'm gonna make you guys sick. Zoomed in. You can do that? I didn't know you could do that. Okay. You learn something new every day. I do, usually by accident. Okay. Anyways, I had like a single pair of Panda Kings that was a stowaway. Happened to be a sex pair. And I've completely restarted a culture from those. And, you'd think with all that random, like, inbreeding and stuff, I would get some weirdos popping up, but no such luck. But, yeah. Oh boy, there's a lot in here. A lot of Panda Kings, so. Which, I mean, yeah, guys, like, inbreeding's totally a thing with inverts, totally a detriment to most of them, because, like, I started these Panda Kings with 5 individuals that I got from Kyle, like, years ago, and then I sold all them off, and then started the culture again with a single pair from that remainder of that colony, and, they're thriving, but clearly something's going on there. Clearly can't be right. This is the first time I've done this, but I'm emboldened by the fact I have gloves, even though this thing could totally pierce my gloves. But this is my Hedruis spadix that I collected here in Melba, Idaho. It's a nice plump individual. I'm not huge into these types of inverts, however. Every week, I'm trying to sell this one, but every week that goes by that I have it, I like it more and more. So, I don't know, if no one takes it from me, I might have to keep it. Although I do hear these are very difficult, and probably outside of my level of expertise, considering I have literally no other scorpions. So, this is Yeah, man, it's a big chunker though. I think it's male, but it's pretty fat from the food I fed it. So I don't know. I think you can sex them by counting the pectines, but it looked pretty like a pretty high count on mine, but I've not particularly astute. I wasn't able to. I didn't get any pictures basically of the pectines, and counting them while it's alive is kind of, and moving around is kind of difficult. Yeah, very large, attractive scorpion, and yeah, we'll see if I keep it or not. Yeah, like I have it in this temporary enclosure with just like sand and good ventilation, but just sand. I keep like one corner moist and the rest pretty dry. It's been doing pretty well, but I'm pretty sure the difficulty with these guys is when they molt, they need to make like a really big, really deep burrows and very stable, sandy, probably sandy clay substrate. So that would be maybe more space than I'd want to devote to this species, but we'll see. But yeah, again, I am trying to sell it, but apparently, is $30 too much of an ask for that species? For a wild caught but healthy and has been in my care for months and doesn't seem to have any parasites or anything like that. I mean, they're all wild caught anyway, so I feel like $30 is not super expensive for a Hedruis. Vadix, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't really know that market that well, but I could have sworn it's were a bit on the expensive side. Yeah. These Everglades, Priscillinites, doing pretty well. A lot of orangey looking ones popping up lately, just sitting there. Okay, let's get in there. Mosquito bits. I'm pretty sure with these, like roaches and stuff, are going to be eating the mosquito bits. Especially like my hissers, which are have the worst fours out of anything. They're going to be eating these mosquito bits, but the bacteria will likely survive their digestive tract. So that's fine. They should eat it, pass it out, and should be present in their frass still. So yeah, not super worried about things that are going to eat it. But yeah. Armadillidium vulgare cuna, Idaho. Breeding, well, growing pretty well. I think some will be sexually mature here soon. Now, if they only had something like this that targeted mites and only mites, that'd be in heaven. I could definitely do without like the orbateds and like grain mites and predatory mites and at least some of my enclosures. But alas, as far as I'm aware, no such thing exists that only targets mites. Trargadillo green spots, they've been doing pretty well in their new setup. As soon as I got them on the proper like 50-50 humidity gradient, much better ventilation, they seem to be thriving. Slow growers though, gosh, their babies are slow growers. Holy cow! They pump babies out pretty frequently, but the rate at which those babies grow is so slow in comparison. Alright. Step more. Well, okay. So, Pseudoscorpion, actually. I caught that pair of Pseudoscorpions from Melba, Idaho as well. So far, no babies that I can tell. So that's a little annoying. Oh yeah, I guess I gotta put. I mean, there's really nothing in here that Fords would even eat, but just as a precaution, it must be done. Armadillidium nasatum, Kuna, Idaho. They're breeding pretty well now. Kind of a mix of different color types in there. Let that colony grow out before I decide to do anything about that, probably. There's really a piece of dog food. Here we got Proporcelio volcanius. I feel like every time I look how to spell the species name correctly, it changes. Apparently it's supposed to be a K now, so I'm gonna change that spelling, I guess. But, yeah, Proporcelio volcanius. Beautiful species. Underrated. I mean, new to the hobby, kind of, but still underrated. And I love the coloration on them. So nice. They breed fast. They breed at a very small size, like in comparison to their full size. So they're quick to produce, even if you get them as little babies. Hardy, you know, they're a really nice little species. So hopefully they'll be more popular in the future. So it's just Silisticus convexus Ukraine pied. Any babies from these yet? No. Now, these are taking a while to breed. I mean, there's gravid ones in here, but they're holding on to those babies for dear life, apparently. My gosh. But, otherwise seem to be doing well. So, hopefully, just a matter of time before they start popping off. Normal Silisticus convexus certainly are popping off. Those though, Silisticus and Chichelopus rathki, I've noticed, like they really halt reproduction when there's no leaf litter. Like a lot of other isopod species will breed decently without it, at least for short periods of time. But not Silisticus or Chichelopus in my experience. Those really seem to be pretty dependent on leaf litter for triggering breeding, which is interesting. that's the thing though that I saw the other day that kind of triggered me to talk to Kyle and Brandon about like the Icepod hobby's ridiculousness. It's like from day one, the thing with isopods has been like, oh, they need leaf litter for good reproduction, or at least they breed better with leaf litter in their diet, and that is something that, based on my personal experience, I agree with. I wouldn't say several species it's not like really essential to breed them. You still get thriving colonies even without leaf litter, but quite a few species definitely do enjoy it and do better with it, if not need it entirely to breed well, or at least something of similar nutritional value to leaf litter. But no, apparently now isopod people are saying leaf litter is not a great edible for isopods and doesn't have a lot of nutrition. And it's like, yeah, I wouldn't feed isopods exclusively leaf litter. I still give mine all supplemental feeds and stuff, but since when is our leaf since when are we now recommending not to feed isopods leaf litter? What what insanity is that? What the heck, man? Like, I feel like the isopod hobby just changes its mind about how we should keep these things like every other week, and it's all stupid. So yeah, leaf litter no, but still a very aged, organically rich substrate. Yes, even for like powder blues, which you could breed thousands of on plaster of Paris and dog food, probably. Like, that's literally substrate in the food that you would need to breed thousands of powder blues. Like, those don't care. But yet those, yeah, no, they definitely though won't breed without a bougie, organically rich substrate that I happen to sell, right? That's, yeah, like really, like it's insane the amount of times I'll see people say like how essential and incredibly organically rich substrate is, or limestone or something like that, is to breed like the most simplest of isopods that again you could literally breed on a substrate of humid plaster of Paris and dog food, and you would still be able to have thousands and thousands of them within a few months probably, with enough surface area, obviously. But no, even for those, the most common of feeder and or cleaner species, definitely need that bougie substrate, or else your results will be abysmal. Definitely. Ooh wee, man, holy crap though. Look at this though. This male Magnificus, Persona Magnificus. He's a big one. Nice Europods on him too. Yeah. I feel like definitely giving them the calcium has given me bigger Magnificus, at least. With more exaggerated features. That's cool. Not making them breed any faster though, jeez. Magnificus, Persona Magnificus are real sporadic breeders for me. I mean, I know everyone says they're seasonal, but I feel like the seasons come and went and they still haven't bred. I got one litter. One decent sized litter. But, I mean, maybe that was the only female that was sexually mature, but definitely several of them are sexually mature now, and I feel like should be getting preggers. Poggers, my isopoggers. Come on, breathe. I do have a couple more roaches in this colder corner to care for. Esioblatta chiotensis, which someone just bought these today, and unless I'm not remembering correctly, that may be the first time anyone has bought these off of me in like the year that I've had them available. So props to that guy for having some appreciation. He mostly bought Platelids and Pseudophilodromids, actually, so props to him for having a good taste in ectobiid roaches. Ectobioid roaches, I should say. But yeah, like literally no one has had any interest in these. He also bought Episymplois syndaica too, so again, that maybe, that's like one of maybe 2 or 3 sales I've made of Episymplois syndaica, so yeah. It's not that they're expensive roaches, they're dirt cheap. They're really cheap, but they're boring and small and skittish and can climb as adults, if not nymphs, so nobody wants them. Except for true roach enthusiasts like that guy who just bought for me today. He's a real one. Unlike all you fakers, no. Everyone has their own preferences, that's fine. I just wish more people appreciated and wanted to keep the, more underrated Platelids and Pseudophilodromids. Would sure make them easier to stick around in culture if they did. Parkoblatta americana from Boise, Idaho are also doing fantastic. I'm not getting these like a super diapause, but I did put them on my lowest shelf in the very corner of my room, and it's kind of cool down there, like mid-70s, maybe even like high 60s in that particular spot. So getting a little bit of a cool down during the winter, which I don't think they need, but they do kind of seem to appreciate. So why not? I have the ability to give them that temperature drop. I'm gonna do it. Alright. Those are done. Let's see. Nobody is on anymore, apparently. Although sometimes that seems to be wrong, but of my Hoffs, they're one of my keepers. Yeah. Hey, I get that. I love Hoffmannseggen. They're really big. Anything that's like big and fairly attractively patterned and easy to breed is, a win in my book. That's definitely a good keeper. Yeah, so I feel you there. Alright, and then I think I'm pretty much just going to take care of a few more iSpot species and then probably hop off here. Just because it's funny though, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but when my landlord came by the other day and I had to clean up their room, to prepare for their presence, their inspection of the house, and I moved one of my invertebrate shelves over, and about a month, maybe even like a month and a half prior to that, I had one of my captive red, like freshly matured, literally just matured it and moved it to a lidless container that I thought it couldn't climb out of, so it could harden up properly outside of its pupal cell. Asbolus mexicanus. And Asbolus are not super easy to rear, so every adult that I get is like precious to me. And that one escaped. And around the same time, one of my Chocolopedius webby larvae chewed its way out of its deli cups. And that was also a big hit, because I don't have a lot of those. So I was pretty upset with that. But I moved the shelf over, and the Asbolus they're these like Black Heart brand, Walmart brand shelves, right? And they have those like, I don't know what you'd call them, notches, like the big, like there's just pits in the bottom of the shelves, right? And things can get stuck in and can't climb out if they can't climb plastic. And the Asbolus was in one of those, and I swore I had checked those pretty thoroughly when I had first noticed it went missing, and it wasn't in there before, but now it was. Had been in there for who knows how long, a month and a half. No food, no water, and it was perfectly fine, alive and active, and just like trying to get out desperately. So I found that, and then underneath the shelf itself was the Chocolopedius larva, which had like, it didn't thankfully like chew into the carpet, but it like nestled into it and made itself like a little chamber underneath the shelf and molted on bone dry carpet underneath a shelf in an 80-degree room, and was perfectly fine and alive. It didn't desiccate, it didn't dry out. I mean, it was a little like dried out. You could see it was like kind of skinny, right? Hungry and dehydrated, but I put it back in a deli cup with moist substrate, an escape-proof deli cup with moist substrate, and food. Gave it some mealworms, and it plumps right back up. So yeah, that was pretty incredible. It goes to show the hardiness of both Tenebrionids and Elateridae larvae. They can be really freaking resilient. Certainly more so than most roaches I've kept. So I don't know if there's anything you're afraid of infesting your house. Maybe worry about beetles and not roaches, right? Like, geez. But that was pretty cool. I was pretty happy about that. Recovery of those two. And they're doing fine now, so. But yeah, I thought that was really funny, though, because, like, wow, I can't believe they survived that long without water or food. And in a hot room, too, so it wasn't even like their metabolisms were significantly slowed by cooler temperatures, which would allow them to survive longer under those conditions. But no, it's hot in here, hot as balls, so. And yet they still made it without water or food. Abysmal air humidity, like, yeah. Kind of crazy. Just how resilient these things can be. I mean, hey, that's part of why I like keeping these species, vertebrates take up so much more time, so much more attention, so much more space. And these guys, it's like, hey, we can literally go a month without food or water somehow and still survive. So, yeah, it's pretty funny. Alright, well, this last one. Alright. Well, my project for breeding dark individuals that popped up in my blonde ducky culture has completely failed, sadly. The last of them died off. Blonde duckies are something I have a lot of trouble with for some reason. I don't know why. That particular Cubara species has given me so much trouble. So, yeah, that dark line I was trying to breed did not prove out. I'm trying again with, I got a new group from Thai of just the normal blonde duckies, but the dark ones they had thrown out did not take off for me, so that kind of sucks, but oh well, what can you do? Pygordesmidae, species Cotoconabalu doing well. Let's check out Porcellio dilatatus. These guys, since I got them, they've been acting kind of funky. I don't think they have porcelain disease, per se. But they like, it seems like some of the older ones, at least, like, don't walk so well. I don't know if it's just the substrate they came in on is kind of weird. There's some weird stuff mixed into the substrate. Stuff that almost look like poop, which is a little concerning to me. I think it's just clay. I don't know why they put this into. I mean, it could be snake poop too, like really decayed, but it doesn't smell like poop, so I don't know. But you know how I spot people are with throwing poop into their substrate. And this whole container was a rescue. But yeah, no, they're weird. They're not like, they don't seem to be like super healthy, the adults I got. But I do see babies, and they are growing. The ones I got. Here's a dead one. I don't know, that kind of looks like porcelain disease. I might move these to a different place than right next to all my other isopods. Yeah, I sterilize everything I put into my enclosures, but not everyone does, and that's a good way to get porcelain disease, which can kill off colonies of isopods pretty quickly. I'm hoping that one just like died, but from other causes and desiccated. But yeah, these might have porcelain disease. In that case, I really hope. See, but there's still quite a few healthy ones in here, so I don't know. Just in case, I think I'm gonna keep these separately, and I guess change my gloves now that I've dug around this setup. But let me spoon in some bits here. Hopefully, I haven't accidentally. If it is porcelain disease, I really hope I haven't accidentally spread it to other species while doing maintenance. But I got the Ukrainian pies from the same person, the same like they were rescued / confiscated by Fish and Game from someone's collection. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of quarantine these away from the rest of my isopods and see what happens with them. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those, but that's slightly concerning. But yeah, hopefully I have not contaminated anything else with that, if that's the case. Yeah, see, this is why you sterilize your shit, people. And I mean really heat treat it, because like stuff like that, like bacterial pathogens and stuff, will usually survive freezing, can survive prolonged soaking as well. So heat treating is really the safest method of sterilization. Definitely not worth losing cultures over using unsterilized crap, in my opinion, in my experience. Oops. But yeah, yeesh. Well, that's it for the isopod maintenance today. And I think maintenance in general, I think I'm going to try to go to sleep now. Maybe wake up early and get more maintenance done before work. But I think that's going to be it. it for today, folks. So, thanks everyone for watching. Had a higher amount of viewers than normal, so I appreciate that. And, got like mammoth hair. But thanks for everyone who watched. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Yes, stop streaming.